Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I'm joined by the amazing Matt Curione. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty okay. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy we can make this happen. For those of you that are unfamiliar with Matt, he is the editor-at-large for Talk Film Society, as well as co-host of Monsters Never Die podcast. Now, before we get into a little bit more about you, what's it like being the editor for Talk Film Society?
It's fun. Basically. I mean, it can be a pretty good time. I mean, we've mostly been doing podcasts lately. We're going to be relaunching some writing in the new year, so that'll be lots of fun. And it'll give me a lot more to do than just, talk like an idiot on the internet.
No, man, and I totally get it. And not only that, but you're talking about podcasts. We got the Monsters Never Die podcast. What does that entail? What do you guys do over at the Monsters Never Die podcast?
It started as a joke about 2 years ago, where I was like, I'm going to watch the original Universal monster movies and then their remakes. And my buddy Jacob DM'd me saying, we should do a show about this. So 2 years later, we're still doing it. We started out doing the original Universal monsters and then a lot of their remakes. We say we do their remakes, ripoffs, and reboots. So, we did Frankenstein, and then we did Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Young Frankenstein, stuff like that. We have fun with it. This month, we're actually doing, since it's Christmas and everyone's getting together with their family, we're going to be doing Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because who doesn't love a nice family get-together?
Right. And family dinner is never the same without some Texas Chainsaw
Massacre. No. They're big in meat. Come on. It's going to be great.
Grandpa's the best at killing, so make sure you invite Grandma and Grandpa over, too.
No, it's fun. We take on a different thing each month, so it's cool.
That's awesome. And I do have the links for that down here in the description, guys, as well as all of Matt's social media links. So make sure you're subscribing to the podcast. Make sure you're following him on social media. I promise you're going to love this guy just as much as I do. Now, a little bit more
pretty funny.
What's that?
I can be funny on Twitter. Thanks.
So Matt was raised on horror and horror adjacent media from a young age. Ghostbusters 2 on opening weekend, and a few years later renting anything he could get his hands on from the local video store. Now the thing is, I consider Ghostbusters a horror movie. Ghostbusters 2 kind of walks the edge. You got a couple horror elements, but the original Ghostbusters I totally think is just a straight up horror film. And I personally grew up in a video store. My parents owned a video store. So
that's awesome.
Nostalgia, whenever we could talk about video stores, I'm always down for that too, So now seeing Ghostbusters 2 opening weekend, that had to be that's an iconic movie to me. I know a lot of people shit on that film. I love Ghostbusters 2.
It's great.
Man.
It's great.
Have you seen the new one yet?
I did. I really liked it. I thought it was really well done for what they were going for. And I loved Afterlife. I thought it was really, really good.
I cried like a baby. I can't get too spoilery.
Me too.
That's the rule that I set. I won't get spoilery until it's been released on physical media. I don't care if it's streaming or not, but until physical media, no spoilers. So all I'll say, cried like a baby.
It's emotional.
It definitely is, especially for people that grew up watching these guys and loving the films. Absolutely emotional. Now you talked about how you do a podcast talking about monsters. And you talked about your Universal monsters, and the film we're going to be talking about today, I strongly believe wouldn't exist without the existence of the Universal monsters. So I do want to go back to the past here for a second, Matt, and talk about what got you into horror, your first horror movie, and your first horror movies were.
Gotcha. Pretty much those Jason movies. I mean, I just love them so much. I mean, I remember being a little kid, like 5 or 6, and looking through the TV listings one week and saying, oh, there's these two, what are these two Friday the 13th things? What is this? And I look at it, hockey masked man hunts down teenagers, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Mom, I want to watch these. And she goes, yeah, sure. We don't get Cinemax. So, and I was like, no, throwing a tantrum. And she's like, hold on, give me a minute. So she got on the phone with my sister who was living up north at the time, and she had Cinemax. So she set her VCR for the, 1 o'clock start time for the double feature of Friday the 13th part 3 and 8. And the next time I saw her, I had a VHS tape in my hand, lovingly labeled with red markers and pens and stuff. And I wore that out. I watched that so many times until, years later when, like, I don't know, what was it called? The Crystal Lake Collection, the first DVD set. Yeah, I watched 3 and 8 so many times, and I understand 8 is not a good movie, but I have such a soft spot for it that I love it so much, and I'll defend that movie. That's a weird hill that I'll die on, but oh well.
See, that's how I feel about 3. Like 3 is legit one of my favorite ones.
3 rules.
Yeah, it's the first one I've seen. It's the one I watched the most as a kid.
Well, yeah, it was the first one I saw too. Yeah.
It's just it's one of those ones that will always stick with me. Now we're gonna be bouncing back and forth a little bit here between 3 and 8. So
go for it. Yeah.
What would you say was the scene that affected you the most overall from these films?
It was wow. That eye pop in the first one. That's actually where I discovered the slow motion feature on the VCR, where you could just keep hitting the pause button and it would go frame by frame. Yep. And I'm like, oh, that's cool looking. I'm gonna do that again. And meanwhile, my brother's sitting on the couch going like, hit play. I want to watch the rest of the movie. I'm like, no, too bad. This is cool. We're doing this. So yeah, that the 3D spear going towards the camera, that was another really cool one. Yeah, it's got some really cool kills in this movie, and it's got some fun characters. I love Shelley. Shelley's fun. I connected to him as a kid because, we were both, little shits. So it was a good time. Yeah.
Shelley is easily the best fool in the whole Friday the 13th timeline.
Oh, yeah.
But on top of that, Shelley gave us the hockey mask.
Yes, he did.
Had the hockey mask had it not been for Shelley. So I totally agree with you there.
Bless that goof.
See, one thing you said is, a lot of people aren't big fans of Part 8, me included. But it is entertaining. At least they tried something different.
They tried something.
There's a lot of it. Yeah, there's a lot of it for me that's just like I hate when Jason's down in the sewer and he looks at the camera and he's like, "Mommy,
oh Mommy." Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's bad. He does spend a lot of time on a boat. It's Jason takes a boat, which somehow gets from Crystal Lake to Manhattan, which I don't know. That boat can fit down those small rivers in North Jersey, I guess. Who knows?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a fun movie. It has that great boxing match, quote unquote. That scene is great. It's got some great kills. I love the guitar kill. I just think that's just so sudden and cool. It has the old man being thrown into toxic waste, which is just, because New York just has a ton of toxic waste barrels lying around. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's true. You walk down Times Square, it's just toxic waste barrels left and right. It's a bad city.
Well, they have to flood the sewers with it, so they got to keep it somewhere.
Every night.
I do love that boxing scene because Kane Hodder took that like a champ. He absorbed all those blows.
Yes, he did.
And obviously, you got the iconic.
Take your best shot. Motherfucker.
And then he just takes his head clear off, man. What a great
so good.
kill.
It's so good. I love it.
Now we talked a little bit about the scenes that affected you the most, but between the two, what would you say your favorite scene would be?
Honestly, I really like the scene where Shelley and God, I forget her name. Shelley, they're at the convenience store and they knock over the motorcycle. It's got big Pee Wee Herman vibes, and I just really connect with that. It's it's a nice moment of comedy in a movie that's filled with people dying constantly.
And I'm so glad.
I like that scene. It's cool.
I've said numerous times, and I will stand by this till the day I die. The only perfect movie that's ever been made is Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's the only perfect movie to me. I mean, there's movies that come close. Nightmare on Elm Street, Back to the Future. These movies come close. Nothing's ever going to top how amazing Pee-wee's Big Adventure is, man.
Tim Burton coming fully formed out of the womb. Just, this is what I'm all about, folks, and I'm going to do it for 40 years. Okay.
Fantastic. Well, with Friday the 13th being a franchise, I got to ask. I know you had a double feature for your first horror film, but in the Friday the 13th franchise, which film is your favorite of the whole franchise?
Jason Lives.
Okay.
It's the most fun Friday the 13th movie. So much so that I wish I have that. I got that, dude. It's the most fun. It makes me wish that they were all that winking and fun of a slasher movie. I mean, Jason cutting off 3 heads at once of like the 3 like, you know, stuffy executives. That's some funny shit. That's very funny. The Gravedigger saying, calling me a fart head, and then all the kids going, yeah, like the editing in that movie is just so good and sharp and funny. And I really wish a lot more of them were that level of, yeah, no, we're just gonna have a good time. It's gonna be a hoot.
And that was the first Franken Jason, you know, where Frankenstein's almost Frankenstein being revived from the lightning. And that's where the big Universal monster influence, I think, really came from.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Now we are talking about part 3 and part 8. Now I got to ask you, what is your favorite kill from each film?
Each film. Well, seeing as how I just visited Crystal Lake, we did the Crystal Lake tour. We got to go to see all the different locations, and honestly, in the first one, it's Kevin Bacon. It's that geyser of blood. My goodness, that wasn't even supposed to happen. Is a nice little mistake on Tom Savini's part, and bless him for it. Yup. Oh, and I pushed too hard. No, there's blood everywhere. Well, whatever, Kevin, you'll be fine. It's fine. Part 2.
Oh no, I meant just what was your favorite kill between part 3 and part 8?
Oh, between part 3 and part 8. It's the eye pop. That eye pop is just so cool. And I mean, I've tried to watch this movie so many times in 3D, but I tap out after like 10 minutes because, you know, I get a headache because that stuff's painful.
The red and blue.
Oh my God, it hurts so much. And I have like Jason themed 3D glasses, and they're fun, they're cool, but they hurt. I get a headache. So I've watched that scene alone in 3D a few times, and it's effective. It works. As long as you have a big enough TV and you can, you know, pull it off.
I usually tap out about the point where they try to pass me the joint.
God. And the guy with the yo-yos, the guy in the beginning who they own the little shop, and he has a bunny rabbit, and he's like with the stick going in your face. Yeah. Oh my God.
So, you know, Friday the 13th is something that means a lot to me.
Same. Oh yeah, it's my favorite slasher series by far.
Chucky barely tops it. Child's Play, I think, barely tops it because I think it's more consistent with the films. But gotcha. Jason Voorhees is my favorite slasher of all time, and
he's just cool looking, man.
Badass. You know, he's badass. And I thought I still had it here. I was going to show. I don't have the one up here right now, but the very first piece of Sledgehammer Horror, there it is. The very first piece of Sledgehammer Horror merchandise that we ever made is this baby.
Oh, that's
right
cool.
Here.
Oh, that's fun.
So, like, that's how cool. much Friday the 13th means to everybody here at Sledgehammer Horror. But I do want to kind of throw you a curveball. We know your first horror movie was Friday the 13th, 3 and 8.
Yes.
But now I want to go scream on you here for a second, Matt. What's your favorite scary movie? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
It's not just my favorite horror movie of all time. It's my favorite movie, Alien. Ridley Scott's Alien. It's this perfect thing, and it's beautiful. It still looks better than most movies made since, which is insane to me. That you can watch that and be like, no, this looks brand new. Like other than the hairstyles, this could have been made last year. It's just so believable and claustrophobic and scary as shit.
Yeah. One of the greatest taglines of all time, too, in space.
Oh my God.
Screen.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
There's so much about Alien that I could talk about because
I saw the making of. I've watched the making of many times, and Ridley Scott says, well, what we wanted to do was make Texas Chainsaw in space, and I think we pulled it off. Yeah, you pulled it off. It's pretty damn good.
Yeah. It's one of those things that it's that genuine fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
You know, and we've all had that fear of space. And then without that, we wouldn't have some other movies that have completely blown, like Event Horizon would not exist if it weren't for Alien.
I love Event Horizon.
Event Horizon to me is a perfect mix of Alien and Hellraiser.
Yep,
like,
it's the best.
Two movies together. That's Event Horizon.
The best Hellraiser in space movie.
Yes, it truly is, man.
It really is.
So now I've had a great time, man. And talking horror is something that I could do all the time. Now, if you had to choose, since we know that Friday the 13th Part 3 and Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, were your first two horror movies. If you had to choose your favorite between the two of them, which one would you choose?
Third one. It would be the third one. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, it doesn't downplay part 8 because Jason Takes Manhattan is still better than a lot of the other slasher movies that are out there. Just because it's my least favorite Friday doesn't mean that it's a bad movie by any stretch of the imagination. But like one scene that I've always loved from Jason Takes Manhattan is the sauna rock kill, when he takes that sauna rock and pushes it.
Oh my God. Yes.
What a terribly sad and scary way to die.
Yeah. Oof. Oh. I'm just getting heartburn thinking about it. Jeez.
Right. Well, man, I always end these with the same question. We're going to go back to Friday the 13th. We're going to do 2 this time because obviously your first horror movie was 2 different movies at once. Now, what we do is we rank these movies on a skull count. Okay. Now, the catch here, Matt, is we're not ranking them by production, score, acting, directing. We're not being critics right now. We're strictly judging these movies just strictly on how they affected you on first watch. So since it was first, let's go with Friday the 13th, part 3. 0 skulls being the worst and 5 being the best. How much would you say part 3 affected you?
4 skulls.
Fair. Jason Takes Manhattan, same thing. Not critics, just how much it affected you. What would your ranking of Jason Takes Manhattan would be?
Probably 4.5. 4.5. When I was a kid.
As a kid, Jason Takes Manhattan was one of my favorites.
It's fun.
Jason Takes Manhattan as a kid. But then you get older and you start to see all the holes in it. It's like you said, Jason takes a boat to Vancouver.
Yep.
But it's still a fun movie. Like when he does get to New York and he takes the mask off at all the skater punks and they all start running away. You know,
it's got a cool. It's got a cool Jason design. I like how he's always wet. It's like really off-putting.
So, and I love the fact that this is the first time I've gotten to talk about both of these films. I've talked about the Friday the 13th films, but this is the first time I've got to, really dive into these 2 films. And I can talk Friday the 13th all day long. We recently did a top 10 favorite horror movie endings. And my number 1 actually was Jason Goes to Hell. And
yes. Oh God. Yeah.
I don't think younger people, and this is, again, I'm not being condescending to anybody that's younger than me. That's not who I am. That's not my integrity.
Oh, but they don't get it. They don't know what it was like.
I don't think they know how we felt when we saw Freddy's glove come up from that dirt and grab Jason's out. Dude.
And then having to wait, what was it, 12 years to see what... Oh my God.
I'm not kidding. My mother is right here on my mother's ashes. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
She told me if I hear one more word about fucking Freddy or what her exact words were, if I hear one more goddamn word about Freddy or Jason, you're grounded. Because that's all I talked about after that glove. Like everybody, I was like,
I remember
this movie.
We saw that on VHS. We rented it. I kind of tricked my mom, but didn't. We were looking at the video store, and I go, "Mom, look, it's unrated. It can't be that bad." And she's like, "Yeah, sure." So she rents it, lets us watch it once, and then she kept the tape in her purse for the rest of the weekend. She's like, "Nope, you watched it once. We're good." I walked in on that. Nope, man. You're not watching that again. Ugh.
But isn't it amazing how we start talking about these movies and these memories just flood back?
Oh yeah, I love it.
We start talking about Jason and Freddy, and House is another big one for me.
Another one of the great taglines: "Ding dong, you're dead."
Ding dong, you're dead, baby. Love it. And you look at these movies, and when we watch them, right now we go back and watch them, and we remember what we were eating, who we were hanging out with, all these amazing things from our childhood. Because people that love horror movies like that, that's what it does. It transports us right back to where we were.
It's a communal thing. It's a communal thing. It's nice.
It is, and I love the horror community. I'm so honored that I get to play a little tiny bitty part in it, and I do want to remind everybody that's out there watching right now, hit up the description. I have the links for the podcast as well as Matt's social media links. Make sure you're following him. He's a great young man, and I love hanging out with him.
And if you want to hear me talk about Jason for, I think it was like an hour and a half, for our 1-year anniversary last year, we did the entire series as our anniversary episode over on Monsters Never Die, and that was a lot of fun because we did the episode with a guest who had never seen them before. So it was her first time, and it was a lot of fun going through that series with a newbie and them just coming away a fan. It was
Right.
cool. It was a lot of fun.
I'm jealous that you got to do
It was
that.
cool. Yeah.
Like,
That was our
her
1 year.
reactions at these-
Yeah.
Yeah, like watching her reaction when the dude from part 2 gets that machete in the face and goes downstairs. You know, like seeing all these iconic moments that we
So
grew up,
good.
Corey Feldman going ham on Jason, like
My
these
God.
things that meant so much to us. You know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be Corey Feldman. Like
Who
that was what I
didn't?
wanted. I wanted to be that weird kid that made masks and killed Jason. Like that's
We
what
all
I
did.
wanted, man.
Oh
Yeah.
God. So good.
Yeah. And man, like I said, I really appreciate you coming and spending the time with me. Don't go anywhere though, brother. I have a couple more things I want to ask you.
Sure.
Everybody else,
Yeah.
as always, thank you so much for joining us. This has meant so much to me hanging out with Matt and being able to share this with all of you guys. As always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.